Oh, baby. Hi, Mary. Hi, Julie. Minnie, say hi. Shy hi. Say it's National Pet Month. Miss you too, Julie. Sandy. Hello, dear. We have little Minnie here, aka Miss Betty White, that they called her last year at the Humane Society when she ran off in a snowstorm because she was confused. Miss Betty White. Hi, Christy. I'm going to read a few stories from our furry pets, memories of our furry fur family. Sandy, look what I have on. I always wear it. Really appreciate that you gave that to me. She's going blind and deaf, guys, but she still thinks she's a puppy. She really does. She still thinks she's a puppy. She does not know that she's old. Do you, baby? You don't realize it. Hi, snow remover. Oh, thank you. I just got it trimmed the other day. I still have to color it, letting it grow a little longer. People like it, supposedly, so I got to give them what they want, don't we, Minnie? We got to give them people what they want. And she's such a doll. She really is, guys. She's our last one left. She's our last one out of all four. Do you, Sandy? Oh, cool. Okay, let's read some stories. Hi, Tracy. Let's read some stories from Pet Days. Pets, remembering our pets. I just saw a couple of good ones in here. This is the new magazine. Don't fall, baby. Yeah, just get comfy. Get comfy. I can't keep petting you while I'm looking. Let me find it. Minnie. All right, sorry. She wants me to keep petting her. Okay. Gosh. Wow. Okay, girl. Okay, hold on. Run to the litter, page 11. No. Oh, no. My gosh. Giving me a heart attack. Oh, wow. Don't ever try that again. No. Wow. See, she's... Bless you. She gets her mind made up, and that's it. There you go. Wow. Okay. Okay, Sandy. Good night. Okay. Wow. She tried to jump off the table, Lex. Okay, this one's Run to the Litter. 14 days later, she had a new best friend by Sarah Etkin Baker. And did I say it was National Pet Month? I just found that out. Hilda's in labor, yelled Mr. Davis. I leaped off the porch, ran next door, and watched Hilda strain as 5 milk chocolate colored Dachshunds slowly wriggled their way from her belly. Oh. The first was a runt who immediately captured my heart. I giggled watching it and the other 4 bundles of energy squirming beneath Hilda's tummy, all begging for lunch at the same time. But the magical moment ended when Hilda nudged her runt puppy away. The runt inched his way back, but she shoved him away, pouncing on his tiny back and breaking his tail. She's hurting him, I screeched. Make her stop. Mr. Davis scooped up the injured pup and placed him in my hands. Run, kiddo, get a shoebox and put that pup in it. I darted inside, gingerly holding the wounded pup in my hands. I found a shoebox, placed the runt in it, and watched it stretch its tiny body ever so slightly. You little brat, you. She's just laying here now on the bed, all comfy. I guess she felt she was being used or something, maybe. You felt being used? Well, I'm sorry. People like animals. Hilda's mean, Mr. Davis. Why would a mama dog hurt her own puppy? You got to understand, kiddo. Hilda's not mean. Her instinct tells her that puppy's too small to survive. He patted me on the back. Because she loves him, she doesn't want him to suffer. So she believes she should put him out of his misery. Kill him? I asked, sobbing uncontrollably. Yes, that's the way the animal world works, kiddo. But I tell you what, I thinks we can save this pup. You got a doll blanket and a baby bottle back home? Yes, sir. Then go get them and hurry back. I dashed home and found the 2 items. We wrapped the runt in the blanket and placed it back in the shoebox. Then we heated some milk, adding Karo syrup to it, and poured the mixture into the baby bottle. The runt sucked on it, wiggling contentedly. I caressed its tiny body with my fingers, and he fell asleep, serene and out of harm's way. Kiddo, many runts die before they ever open their eyes. If we can keep this runt alive till his eyes open, he'll probably survive. If he does, you can have him. So for 14 days, we hand-fed the runt until his eyes opened. I named him Fritz and took him home, where he became a high-spirited, mischievous, loving Dachshund with a slightly bent tail. Fritz and I were inseparable, except when I was at school. Immediately after school, I'd run home, throw open the backyard gate, and plop down on the back porch steps. Fritz would dart up the steps, jump into my lap, and shower me with loving kisses. Then he'd turn his head from side to side as if to ask, "How was your day at school?" I always obliged him with some school story. Today I learned how to write in cursive. I'm not very good at it yet, but do you want to see? I would open my satchel and pull out my writing tablet. Then he'd tug on my school satchel, wag that bent tail of his, and bark as if to say, "Where's my treat?" I'd offer him a cookie or other snack that I'd saved from lunch. While he munched on his treat, I petted his elongated back and belly. As I grew up, I often shared my deepest thoughts and secrets with Fritz. Today, I met the cutest boy in algebra class. Do you think he'll ask me to the dance? I want to go to the dance, but what if he doesn't ask me? You know, Fritz, I'm not very pretty, and I'm not a popular girl. Maybe I should just go by myself. He'd tilt his head from side to side as if to nod and look at me with those encouraging, doe-like eyes. He'd lick my face, wag his tail, and bark, leaving me to interpret his doxy advice. Up until the day I graduated from high school and left home, Fritz was an extraordinary companion, teaching me about canine friendship and loyalty, and gracing my life with his constantly wagging, misshapen tail, his doxy kisses, and his mischief shenanigans. Oh, thank you, cats. Thank you. I haven't seen you around in a while. That's sweet. Thanks. Do you guys want a scary story now? A scary story? A treat for Fritz. Scary or more pets? Scary? I thought so, Mary. You're the main reason I asked, because I know, and Julie too. Yes, I know you guys like those. Okay. Hold on. I think I put it in the other room. Hold on a minute. Let me go get the book. Let me put my paper towel up here. Okay. Doesn't do any good. You know, people get jealous of this body. Plus, I already showed it earlier. Come here, baby. Come on. See, she follows me everywhere. She won't let me out of her sight. Changing clothes. Yeah, behind the curtain. I can't find the one book that was so good. I can't find it. Okay, well, hold on, guys. I think it's here on my phone. I looked earlier before I went live and I couldn't find it, but I'll look again. Hold on here. I know I have it. I read every freaking night now, to myself, not out loud, you know. Let's see. Just a second. Go to my Kindle library. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, this one is called Crimson Snow by Austin Slade Perry. Okay. Just lost it. Just a second. Sorry. Okay. Hi, Justina. Thank you. Julie. No, but I do go to bed kind of early and lay in bed and read different books on my Kindle. I'm in that habit right now. I get like that. I close myself off from the world. You know what I'm saying? I've always been that way. Okay, here we go. I pushed open the unlocked door to my grandparents' old farmhouse. It had been years since I was last here, but it felt like no time had passed. The living room was full of furniture and assorted family pictures on the wall. I stepped away and into the kitchen. Oh, thank you, Julie. Home sweet home, I muttered to myself. The sound of footsteps pulled my attention to the staircase, where a stocky older man with graying black hair descended. He wore tan overalls over a red flannel shirt and a thick coat. He furrowed his brow. Are you Torin, boy? He asked in a gravelly voice. You got the same bright hair, red hair like your grandma. Has anyone ever told you that? Yes, I answered. I take it that you're the caretaker, Mr. Richards? The man nodded and shook his head. I made sure to restock the firewood, he explained. Everything's up and running for you and your friends. He pulled out a long, bony key from his pocket and handed it to me. Here's your copy of the house key. Have a good weekend. Thank you, sir, I called out to him as he turned and walked out the open door. He carefully dodged to the side as a young woman emerged through the doorway. Torin, Becca called out. I can't get over how beautiful it is up here. Matt, isn't this place perfect? Matt lugged his and Becca's suitcases into the house, brushing away strands of blonde hair that had fallen loose from his bun. Of course it is, he responded, but I'm so tired. That drive nearly killed me. Hey, Torin, maybe you could help Hayden with the rest of the stuff, since you napped the whole way here. Sure, I said while walking outside. If you two want to go ahead and get settled, maybe we can go sledding later. I stepped outside. Hayden was by the truck, admiring the surrounding area. I stood by for a moment, letting him enjoy the view. He wore a form-fitting black sweater that showed off his strong build. He looked handsome. He turned away from the view and retrieved his bags when he noticed me. Cocking his head to the side, he gave me a flash of his crooked smile. Are you just going to stand there or give me a hand? Only if you say the magic word, I teased. He chuckled. Will you, pretty please, get down here and help me? That's close enough, I said, as I started down the steps. I gave him a playful wink. His cheeks reddened slightly. He took another look around the clearing. It's so beautiful up here. You must have had a blast as a kid. I shrugged. It was fun during the summers. I've never been up here during the winter, I explained. I pulled out my suitcase from the back of the truck. Looking up, I glanced at the edge of the clearing. The bare branches looked like long, bony fingers covered in ice. There was something about the imagery that was unsettling. What is it? Hayden asked, eyeing my expression. Excuse me. Nothing, just admiring the view, I said. Let's get this stuff inside so we can go sledding. Back inside, I made my way to the master's suite at the end of the upstairs hall. I paused in an open door as a cool breeze hit my face. This led up to the attic. Mr. Richards might well have accidentally left a window open. I walked up the narrow, winding staircase. As a child, the attic had been off limits. My siblings and I once dared one another to go up and see what it was like, though none of us made it past three steps. But the fear I had as a child was gone, and in its place was abject curiosity. Rows of dusty trunks and cardboard boxes stacked up against the short walls. A light bulb hung in the center of the room, but it wouldn't turn on. The window at the end of the room was open. I closed it. A loud crash from behind caused me to jump and turn. A thick book had fallen on the ground. I picked it up. It was the Tales of the Crimson Prince that my grandmother read to me as a child. I opened it to the first brightly covered page and smiled as I began to read. Long ago on a mountaintop, so covered with summer's warmth, dwelled a mighty kingdom. In the castle there lived a fair prince with hair so red it earned him the title the Crimson Prince. Torin, Hayden's voice called from the stairs. I think Matt and Becca are finished getting settled in if you still want to go sledding. I nodded to myself and placed the book back on the shelf where it had fallen. We spent most of the afternoon sledding down nearby hills. As the sun hid behind gray clouds, the wind picked up, becoming frigid and harsh. Was it supposed to snow this weekend? Hayden asked. I shook my head. No, not according to my phone. Becca and Matt climbed their way back up the hill, grinning from ear to ear. They handed the sleds off to us. Becca gave a quick countdown. On 3, we took off. Hayden's screams of laughter filled the air as I zoomed past him. We were going fast, too fast. The cold had turned the snow into ice. Our speed combined with the falling snow and the hard wind made it difficult to see. I struggled to maintain a straight path down the hill and accidentally steered into a large bump. I flew through the air and tumbled into a tree. My eyes fluttered open, vision blurry as my head pulsed in pain. A shadowed figure moved amongst the trees, coming closer to me. I closed my eyes and opened them again. The figure was gone. There was nothing but the looming frosted trees. My body shaking, I rolled over and stood. Vibrant red wildflowers littered the surrounding area. They were beautiful but unfamiliar. During my summer trips, I had never seen anything like these. They were so red. Oh my God, are you okay? Hayden called out to me. I'm fine, I said. Becca ran over and examined my head as my eyes remained fixed on the crimson flowers. Thank goodness you're okay. There's no blood or anything, Becca said, relieved. Why don't we call it a day and get some ice on Torin's head? Hayden held me close. I've never known flowers to bloom in winter, he muttered to himself on our way back. We spent the rest of the evening inside. I was just checking, make sure somebody was still here. As everyone made themselves comfortable around the fireplace, I settled at the far end of the living room and flipped through the pages of the Tales of the Crimson Prince. Each story was adorned with colorful patterns and images. These were my favorite tales. I knew all of the stories by heart, but there was a new one that I didn't recognize. Rather than the usual vibrant colors and images, its pages depicted gray and charcoal bare branches from an enormous dead tree sprouting from stones and crusted earth. Behind the tree lurked a dark cloaked figure with black eyes that seemed to glow off the page. Bright red wildflowers scarcely dotted the page, providing the only color. The title of the story was handwritten in deep scratched letters that read, "The Lair of the Mountain King." I started to read. The Crimson Prince lived a life in a long summer. Never once had snow touched his cheek. Never once had he understood the winter night's chill until the horn of winter was blown. A fallen warrior, long forgotten, woke deep below the mountain, and with him came winter. The more I read the story, the more I struggled to focus. There was something about the art in this passage that pushed me. The dark colors were discomforting, and the Mountain King's image was somehow haunting, as if he were looking directly at me. Perhaps I was just tired. A lot had happened today. Hoping to clear my mind, I shut the book and excused myself to take a bath. The tub's pipes started with a rattle before a jet of hot water expelled from the faucet. Steam filled the room as I peeled off my clothes. I sunk myself into the water. When I emerged, the bathroom was gone. I stood waist deep in a hot spring next to a low-hanging black tree with frost clinging to its naked branches. The sky was dark, save for the faint blue light coming from the full moon. I was surrounded by a dense forest and crimson-colored flowers. I opened my mouth to speak, but was interrupted by the sound of something stepping into the water. The water shifted as it moved closer to me. My breathing became uneasy. I couldn't move. Whatever it was touched the base of my spine. It was like ice stinging my flesh. I held my breath as it traced its fingers up my back and around my neck. They tightened their grip and pulled me against them. I wanted to fight back, but they were much stronger than me. I shuddered as a cold breath brushed over my ear. "Don't be afraid," an icy, low voice whispered. I arched my head back to look up at their face. Staring down at me were black eyeless sockets from a skull partially hidden by a dusty linen hood. 7 long, bony spikes pierced the hood. I pried my head free and tried to scramble away, but the figure grabbed my wrist and spun me around. "I have waited for you, Torin," his voice boomed like cracking ice. I fought until I was able to break free from the cold embrace. In the struggle, I found myself falling back into the water. When I broke the surface, I was back in the bathroom. My eyes darted back and forth as I tried to slow the beat of my heart. Was he in here with me? I could still feel the monster's touch on my body. I wanted to convince myself that it had just been a dream, but there were fresh bruises on my wrist. Still trembling, I got out of the tub and dressed. I headed downstairs, stopped by a wind sweeping through the living room. The front door was wide open, letting snow blow violently inside. I ran to close the door, but found Becca standing on the porch with a blanket wrapped around her. "Becca, what are you doing?" I asked. She didn't respond. She stared blankly into the vast darkness surrounding the house. I touched her shoulder. She felt like ice. "Do you see them?" Becca whispered. I looked outside but couldn't see anything. "Becca, there isn't anything out there." Becca snapped back and looked around wildly before landing her eyes on me. "Torin, what's going on?" "You must have been sleepwalking." Her eyes widened and scanned over the porch and yard. I kept seeing dark faces in skull masks. They were out lurking in the trees. They wanted you to have this. She held out her hand. In her palm was a crimson wildflower. My heart sank. I wrapped my arms around Becca and led her back inside. "It was only a dream," I said, trying to hide the terror in my voice. She nodded, but I doubted she believed me. I wanted to say something, but I saw Hayden watching us outside his door and went silent. "What was that all about?" he asked. I recounted what happened while trying to hide my anxiety, but he must have noticed something was wrong. He kept frowning and shaking his head. Maybe just for tonight, if you would like, I can sleep in your room. I can even just crash on the love seat. I want to make sure you're safe, he said. I gave his offer some consideration before nodding. He smiled and grabbed his blankets before following me to the room. Once settled in, Hayden was snoring almost immediately, but I couldn't sleep. I want to see how long this one is. It's getting me bored. It's going on and on and on and on. This one's too long. I'm not caring for it. Let me find a different one in here, okay? It goes on and on. It'll be a cliffhanger. Let me see if there's something better. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I can't find the one book that I was reading before, and it was really good. It was a lot better than these. Hold on, guys. Yeah, Stephen King's. I know I have some of his. Let's see. Looking through my list here. I freed an unknown. Okay, I believe this is, I think this is Stephen King. Okay, listen, this one's called The Short Story. Listen to the sounds of your own extinction. My hands trembled as I pressed the cold metal against my own temple. I was ready to go, but I needed another minute to deal with the finality of it all. I wanted death, and I'd made damn sure the gun wouldn't jam on me. All I needed to do was pull the trigger. You don't want to do that, I heard a voice say. I jumped from my chair and swung the gun around the room in panic. As always, the motel room was empty, save the ancient television and moist bed. There was no one there. At first, I wondered if the sound had come from outside. Maybe they hadn't been talking to me at all. Once the initial shock had worn off, I sat back down. Don't do it, Gary, the same voice said. Still, the room was empty. Who's there? I stuttered. I stood back up and scanned the room. I basically spun around in circles as I tried to comprehend where the voice had come from. Then, as I prepared to finally end my own existence, I saw someone standing in the corner. He was a sickly, pale, elderly man with a thin frame. He was dressed in an impeccably tailored suit and didn't seem the least bit fazed when I pointed my gun at him. In fact, he just smirked. "Get the F out of my room," I demanded with a trembling voice. The man just gave me a peculiar look. "You're afraid of me?" he half asked and half stated. The question froze me in place for a moment. There was a strange man in my room that had seemingly materialized out of thin air, and he had the audacity to ask if I was afraid. "Why?" he continued. "I don't have any money or anything, but I'll effing shoot you unless you leave," I said back. "What are you afraid of? What were you planning to do before I arrived?" "None of your business. You were moments away from what you consider blissful death. What could I possibly do that frightens you?" He was right. Though I planned to kill myself, I was scared. Not from death itself, yet something about the man just sent shivers down my spine. "Are you depressed? Is that why you want to leave the world behind?" he asked. I shook my head. "Yet you so desperately want to die." The fear I'd felt as he arrived had been replaced by morbid curiosity. Something about his utterly calm appearance made it impossible to refuse his questions. I don't actually, you feel like you don't belong." These simple words sent a wave of sudden realization through my body. I'd thought about death a lot, but I could never pinpoint exactly why I wanted out. But as he uttered that sentence, I finally realized what I wanted to escape from. My whole life, I'd never once felt like I belonged in this world. Despite having good friends, a decent job, my life just felt as if it were a crime. As weird as it might sound, I wasn't supposed to be there. Though it seemed so obvious then, I'd never been able to define it so clearly. That was it. That was exactly the reason. How did you know?" "Because it's a simple fact, Gary Widmore. You don't belong here." "I don't understand. How can you be so sure?" "If you so desire, I can show you." I didn't have to respond. The man, whoever he was, could read me like an open book. I put the gun down and just stared at him. Then, with a simple touch, everything turned dark. As my mind awoke once more, we were in a void. I saw my own body from afar, walking through an endless world of darkness. Time passed, but whether it was a second or 1,000 years, I couldn't tell. "Where are we going?" I asked, but the man wouldn't respond. I was too far away for my words to reach him. Then, as I felt my mind fuse with the emptiness, the world came back into view. It was a town, or a strange facility made solely out of gray concrete blocks. An emaciated woman sat down beside the dead body of a man. He lay there in a pool of dirty blood, with a slit throat, appearing to be the cause of death. She cried over the loss of the man, but her eyes weren't fixated on the corpse. Instead, she wouldn't stop staring at a broken greenhouse full of dried out plants and ruined vegetables. That was the only sound we could hear, the woman crying in a world devoid of any sound. It was as if it was if everything around her had been erased. No animals, no traffic, nothing. Beyond the concrete jungle, there was nothing save barren landscape. The air was unnaturally dry, and the sun seemed to be hidden beyond a sheet of dark gray clouds. Hello? I tried to call out to the woman, but not a single sound emerged from my throat. She can't hear you, the pale man said. I walked over to her and tried to put a hand on her shoulder. Though I could feel her, I couldn't actually affect her in any way. She was like a solid object, and I had no power. Where are we? I asked. Bunker number 108, the last human embryonic regeneration facility on Earth. Everything seemed so basic, yet modern, in the most dystopian way. Despite it being impossible, I knew exactly what had happened. We're in the future? I asked. The man nodded. And these people are the last of humanity. He touched me again, and suddenly we were standing atop the tallest structure at the facility. The barren ground beneath stretched endlessly far in all directions around us. There was a depression of the ground far off in the distance, only containing small puddles of muddled water. It quickly dawned on me that it used to be the ocean, dried out and rid of all life. This is your future, where mankind is heading. It was too much to comprehend. Not only had humanity reached its end, but the planet had basically fallen apart with all aspects of life. What year is it? Was all I could think to ask. He looked at me with an uncertain expression on his face. We don't know. There's small details, variables that change with each iteration of time, but the outcome is always the same. The planet dies, and no matter how hard humanity tries, it will succumb to the never-ending passage of time. Your people never manage to leave this planet. Instead, they draw their last breath here at this facility as they desperately try to maintain the last plant life on Earth. In the end, your species will be forgotten by the universe, with no impact on the fate of existence. I just stared at the dead landscape around us. The wind howled ominously through the concrete structures, and in the distance, we could still hear the woman cry. She was the last person on Earth, and soon she'd be dead. Humanity goes out with a faint whisper, I thought to myself. Dread filled my body, and I came to the harsh realization that were absolutely unimportant in the grand scheme of things. But it didn't make me sad. It only made me angry. Why are you showing me this? I asked after a long moment of silence. Because I wanted you to listen to the sounds of your own extinction. Again, the pale man touched me, and the world faded away beneath my feet. We wandered through the void for another eternity before we suddenly found ourselves in the streets of New York. The sound of honking cars and people talking greeted us like a long-lost friend. In contrast to the emptiness we'd left behind in the future, it was pure bliss. Thousands of people walked on the streets, each of them with a full-fledged life, their own purpose to fulfill in life. There was a strange static-like aura surrounding them, one they couldn't notice themselves. Yet it was there, an energy I couldn't understand. As I admired their casual demeanor, I noticed pitch black silhouettes walking among the crowd. No one seemed to notice, but the more I looked, the more I saw. There must have been thousands of them. What are these things? The silhouettes are the people that could have been, people that don't exist this time around. The rest are the chosen ones for the current iteration of life, of time. It's iteration of time. They were potential people. They were humans that belonged to a different reality or timeline. But how could I see them? Our job is to select the right people. For the past 100 million loops, we've tried to piece together a puzzle, all to prevent the future I showed you. But why? Because humanity had a greater destiny than what you saw. Something changed everything. An entity placed here on earth with the sole purpose of destroying history. The words hardly came with any comfort, but I couldn't understand why I'd been chosen. Of all the great people on earth, why choose someone who didn't even belong? Why me? I finally asked. He just stared at me and answered the question with one of his own. Do you remember your parents? I was raised in an orphanage. They said I was found on the street as an infant, abandoned and close to death. No one knows where you came from? He asked. I suppose not. As we talked, we made our way down the street. The man explained to me what the static-like aura was. He said it was energy that kept people linked to reality, that without it, everyone would look like the silhouettes, real but not existing. Then we passed a department store with freshly polished windows. The man stopped me and told me to look at myself in the reflection. Still, there was a massive difference between me and the others. I didn't have any aura surrounding me. Even the man that had accompanied me through the bizarre trip had the same static around him. Why don't I have an aura? Because, unlike everyone else, you were never chosen to exist. In fact, until this very iteration, your presence on this planet remained unknown to us. You, Gary Woodmore, are an anomaly that needs to be corrected. The implication had a sinister undertone. I wasn't supposed to exist. How could they correct that fact? What exactly does that mean? It means you have to be removed from time itself. Removed? Why didn't you just let me kill myself like I planned to? He sighed. It's not quite that simple. Your life has an impact on people, the good, the bad, and the seemingly unimportant. It all contributed to the world as it is. We have to make sure you never existed. His words made me recall a quote by David Eagleman. There are 3 deaths. The first is when the body ceases to function. The second is when the body is consigned to the grave. The third is that moment, sometime in the future, when your name is spoken for the last time. I've read that too. Yeah, it is, Julie. Yes, that's what I was just thinking. While the first 2 deaths hadn't bothered me all that much, the idea of being forgotten by everyone was a horrifying one. Everything I've ever done, it'll be erased only if you accept. And it could change the course of history? He nodded. How does that even work? Are you just going to erase me or split my body into atoms? I don't really understand how that would work. You'd become one of us, an agent. Everything you've done up until this point will be forgotten and removed, but you'll still have an impact on the world. Since you went undetected from us, we're hoping you can do the same against whatever it is trying to destroy history. There won't be any proof I ever existed. The man paused for a moment as he mulled over what to respond. You can leave behind one thing: a story, an artifact, a letter. It'll be yours, but no one will know where exactly it came from. Your name will be turned into a tale, but at least it won't be completely forgotten. It was better than nothing, but it bothered me. Do you accept? The man asked. I nodded. Then it's time. Let's get to work. Yeah, Julie, right? That one was good. I like that one. How about you? Oh, we have a couple of people left that liked it. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Yeah, Julie, we have a lot of the same taste in some things, don't we? Other things we totally disagree, but other things we really hit it on the nail, hit the nail on the head. It was yeah, odd, but like yeah, and it was like A Wonderful Life. You liked it, Mary? Good, 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 good. Thanks, guys, for coming, even though our little chihuahua had to leave. She's like, I'm being used. She didn't want she didn't want to be part. Oh, thank you. Okay, guys, I shall see you all on the next time, okay? Enjoy your day and your night. Bye. Thanks. Bye bye.